Okay, ma'am. We are now discussing GST MCQs, case study based MCQs, ma'am, which are actually released by our ICA. So we are discussing about them. So scenario based MCQs, what we are going to discuss right now. So in this particular point, Mr. Pashupati, a registered taxpayer under GST, is engaged in trading of various types of consumer goods. His turnover in the preceding financial year was below the threshold limit liable for registration. He has issued various bills of exchange, unsecured debentures, and promissory notes in the course of his business activity. Further, he is also engaged in betting activities. So, he is a registered person in this current year and issued number of documents. So, in these bills of exchange, debentures, promissory notes, like that, that means the negotiable instruments as well as some debentures issued as a part of his business, and he is also engaged in betting activity, which is liable to be GST paid. And in the month of April, he availed the following services: GTA services from XYZ Transports, where GST charged was at the rate of 5%. That means it is covered under RCA 9 subsection 3. GTA services, supplier, GTA, and whereas recipient is any of the specified person, that is a registered person here, and in the same way, the rate of GST is 5%. In that case, RCM is applicable and recipient is liable to pay the GST. So this 35,000 will be covered under RCA. Next point is renting of godown premises from local municipality. So here, if at all any property, immovable property, was given on a rental basis, in that case, that amount will also be covered under RCA. And in the same way, legal service availed from a firm of advocates. In this case, what is the position, ma? So, legal service is also covered under RCM. If at all supplier is an advocate and where or partnership firm of advocates and recipient is a business entity, in that case, who is liable to pay the GST, ma? Recipient is liable to pay the GST. Therefore, generally this point is also covered under RCM. Next point is, he sold a car, used it for his personal purpose for 1 lakh rupees, ma. He disposed of his old computers for 60,000, on which no IDC was claimed. He also gave away his stock of old consumer goods amounting to 75,000, on which he has claimed the IDC to an orphanage home. Here, previously, he sold a car which was used for his personal use. When the car was used for his personal use, then even though it is subsequently sold, no GST on that, because it is not a supply. In order to treat any activity as a supply, as per 7(1)(a), it should be done in the course or furtherance of business. It should be done in the course or furtherance of business. Okay. That's why on this 1 lakh, there is no need to pay the GST. He disposed of his old computer for 60,000, on which no IDC was claimed. Okay, even though no IDC was claimed, if at all it is sold for a consideration, you are liable to pay the GST generally. And he also gave away his stock of old consumer goods amounting to 75,000 to an orphanage. As per section 7, subsection 1, clause C, read with schedule 1, if any business asset is transferred or disposed of on which IDC was claimed and it was subsequently transferred or disposed without consideration, it is still a deemed supply and GST is to be paid. This is a point you should remember, ma. Okay. So therefore, it is a business asset on that IDC was claimed it is permanently transferred to the orphanage. All these 3 points are satisfied here. Therefore, what is the position, ma? What is the position? Definitely on this 75,000 you are liable to pay the GST. Next one, he receives the goods on 1st May that are liable to tax under reverse charge. Invoice was issued on 5th May and the payment for the same was made on 6th June. So here the point is with respect to the goods which are covered under RCM. When the goods are covered under RCM, 12 subsection 3 will come into scene with respect to time of supply generally. What is the time of supply with respect to the goods which are there under section 12.3? First one, date of receipt of the goods. Second one, date of payment. Third one, from the date of invoice, 31st day. In these 3 dates, which one is the earlier one? That will be treated as time of supply. Here the goods are received on 1st May. Date of receipt of the goods 1st May. And the date of payment is June 6th. And whereas with respect to date of invoice May 5th, from that particular date 31st day. That means in May 26 days are there. So it will be June 5th I think. So June 5th, May 1st or May 6th. In that May 1st will be the time of supply obviously. Next one, he paid repair expenses for the truck used for transportation of the goods of his business. GST component involved therein was 13,000. Here, the trucks were used for transportation of the goods. As per section 17, subsection 5, if the vehicles are used for transportation of persons, then generally IDC is not allowed. Based on some exceptions, it is allowed. If the seating capacity is more than 13, IDC is allowed. If the seating capacity is less than or equal to 13, only in few exceptional cases IDC is allowed, and the rest of the cases IDC is not allowed. Okay, ma. But whereas if that motor vehicle is used for transportation of the goods, IDC is allowed. When IDC is allowed on that motor vehicle, whatever the repair services for that particular motor vehicle, on that also IDC is allowed. Therefore, repair expenses for the truck, on that, what is the GST paid? That is 13,000. Definitely we can claim it as ITC. Next one. He arranged for catering on Labor Day function and paid the bill in which GST component was 15,000. So here catering. Generally with respect to food and beverages catering, IDC is not allowed as per section 17 subsection 5. But whereas inward supply and outward supply is the same, in those cases only IDC is allowed. In those cases only IDC is allowed. So here with respect to catering, inward supply, outward supply is not the same in this case. Therefore, on this 15,000, no IDC is allowed. Next one. He received first lot of certain goods having GST component of 25,000. As per 16 subsection 2 read with CGST rules, if the goods are received in installments, and generally a single invoice will be issued for that unless otherwise specifically mentioned. When the goods are received in installments or in lots, then what is the position? Then in that case, the position will be ITC is allowed to the person only upon the receipt of last installment. When goods are received in installments and a single invoice is issued, in that case, IDC is allowed only upon the receipt of last installment. Here it is only the first installment. Therefore, on the 25,000, we cannot claim the ITC. On the 25,000, we cannot claim the ITC. All the amounts are exclusive of taxes wherever applicable. All the supply referred above are intrastate unless specified otherwise. Conditions necessary for claiming the IDC has been fulfilled subject to the information given above. Based on the information given above, choose the most appropriate answer for the following questions. Now we will enter into the MCQs. So with respect to MCQs, which of the following is not considered as a supply as per the provisions of CGST Act 2017? Bills of exchange, unsecured debentures, betting, promissory note. In that, which is not considered as a supply as per the provisions of CGST Act? So here the point is, bills of exchange and promissory note are generally negotiable instruments. They will come under actionable claim. As per 17 subsection 2, actionable claims other than betting, gambling and lotteries, we are not liable to pay the GST. They are neither the supply of the good nor the supply of service. Therefore, on these items, bills of exchange and promissory note, so are not considered as supply. Okay. And unsecured debentures, debentures comes under securities. Debentures comes under securities. Whereas with respect to securities, they are neither the supply of the goods nor the supply of service. Therefore, it can't be treated as this one also can't be treated as a supply. So these three items 1, 3 and 4 will not be considered as a supply amount. So answer for that is, what are the options that are given? Option A 1 and 2, option B 1, 2 and 3, option C 2, 3 and 4, option D 1, 2 and 4. Here option D is the correct answer, 1, 2 and 4. Next point is here. Determine the value of services taxable under reverse charge mechanism. So option A 35,000, option B 75,000, option C 85,000 and option D 1,25,000. So here you can observe that generally GTA services comes under RCM, renting of a godown, RCM, and legal service also RCM. So 35 plus 40 plus 50, total it will be 1,25,000 covered under RCM. So technically 1,25,000 is the correct answer. But I think as per ICA, it is of option A was given as the option. So till some clarification is needed from ICA. But technically the answer is 1,25,000 because if any immovable, GTA is no dispute because ICA also said that 35,000 is under RCM. So with respect to this, that is okay. But the point is here, with respect to renting of immovable property by the government, renting of immovable property by the government. Second one is legal services. Both are generally covered under RCM. So therefore the answer should be 1,25,000 instead of 35. But as per ICA, it is 35,000. So we need some clarification regarding this particular MCQ from ICA. Next one. So in respect of the sale of a personal car and disposal of computer and stock of the goods, value of supply will be personal car, computer and stock of the goods. So on car, generally 1 lakh, there is no need to pay any GST. There is no need to pay any GST because car was used for personal use. Car was used for personal use. And whereas with respect to computer, old computers, generally IDC was not claimed. If at all we assume that it is not a business asset, in that case on the 60,000 also there is no need to pay the GST. And whereas with respect to the old consumer goods which are actually given to the orphanage free of cost, it is covered under 7(1)(c) deemed supplies. Therefore, on that 75,000, we are liable to pay the GST. On that 75,000, we are liable to pay the GST. So the answer will be here 75,000, option B. Next one. Time of supply of the goods received by Mr. Pasupati is. See this, he received the goods, so it is covered under RCM. Therefore, as per section 12, subsection 3, as per section 12, subsection 3, three dates will be there. First one, date of receipt of the goods. Second one, date of payment. Third one, from the date of invoice, 31st day. In these three dates, earlier one will be the time of supply. So, goods received date is May 1st. Goods received date is May 1st. Date of payment is June 6th. From the date of invoice, 31st day. So, May 5th, 31st day will be June 5th. So, May 1st, June 5th, June 6th. In three dates, earlier one will be May 1st. So, the time of supply will be May 1st. So, answer will be here May 1st. Next one. Compute the amount of input tax credit that can be claimed by Mr. Pasupati. So, he paid repair expenses for the truck, which is used for transportation of the goods. Already I told you that. If the motor vehicle is used for transportation of the goods, ITC is allowed. When ITC is allowed with respect to motor vehicle, on that repair expenses also you can claim the ITC. Therefore, 13,000 is allowed as ITC. Whereas 15,000 GST that is paid for catering on Labor Day, ITC is not allowed because it is a blocked credit as per 17 subsection 5. Therefore, on that 15,000 we cannot claim the ITC. And in the same way, on this 25,000 also we cannot claim the ITC because already I said that when you are receiving the goods in installments, ITC is allowed to you only upon the receipt of last installment. Here you received only the first installment. Therefore, on the 25,000 also you cannot claim the ITC. So now what is the amount on which you are claiming the ITC? 13,000. So 13,000 will be the answer here. This is first case based MCQ. And now we will see the second one. The second case based MCQ is Mitchell & Co., a registered supplier under GST, is dealing in supply of taxable goods in the state of Karnataka. The firm opted for composition scheme since April. Its turnover crossed 1.5 crores on May 9th and has opted for withdrawal of composition scheme on the said date. Yes, this is the correct process because the eligibility for the composition scheme is under section 10. In the preceding financial year, your turnover should be less than or equal to 1.5 crore. So then you are eligible in the current year as a composition supplier. But in the current year, up to the specified limit of 1.5 crore, you can pay GST at composition rates. But when the turnover crossed that particular 1.5 crore in the current year, automatically you will be shifted from composition scheme to normal scheme, and from that particular date, normal rates will be applicable. Therefore, when the turnover crossed on May 9th, you will be shifted to the normal scheme. Definitely, you are liable to pay GST at normal rates. In the same way, you can claim ITC also. Next point, Mitchell & Co. sent goods on 10th June to Suri & Co. on sale or return basis. Suri & Co. accepted the goods via its confirmation mail dated December 15. When the goods are actually sent on approval basis, then for issue of invoice, the last date will be, date of approval, or from the date of removal 6 months, whichever is earlier. Here what is the date of approval? December 15th. Whereas the date of removal is June 10th. From that particular date, 6 months means July, August, September, October, November, December. It will be December 10th. So whichever is earlier means generally December 10th will be the last date for the issue of invoice. It will be when the goods are sent on approval basis, the last date for the issue of invoice will be as per section 31, date of approval, or from the date of removal 6 months. Date of approval is on December 15th and the date of removal is on June 10th. From that particular date, 6 months means December 10th it will be. So December 10th or December 15th, whichever is earlier, December 10th will be the last date for the issue of invoice. Next one. The firm has paid GST for various items during the month of August. It comprised of the following. GST paid on input services intend to be used for personal purpose. Therefore, on this 12,000, ITC is not allowed to you. As per section 17, subsection 2, if the goods are used for personal purpose, in that case, you cannot claim the ITC. Next one. GST paid on the purchase of motor vehicle for the business use, being a two-wheeler having the engine capacity of 25 cc. Generally, if the item is used for business purpose, ITC is allowed to you. But whereas with respect to the motor vehicle, if the seating capacity is less than or equal to 30, generally in 3 cases, ITC is allowed. When inward supply, outward supply is the same, or they are in the business of transportation of passengers or driving school. With respect to these 3 cases only, ITC is allowed. Rest of the cases, ITC is not allowed. Here, it is a two-wheeler. Therefore, the seating capacity will be less than or equal to 30. In that case, in these 3 cases, like inward supply, outward supply is the same, ITC is allowed. In the same way, when they are in the business of transportation of passengers, then only ITC is allowed, and driving school. But this point is not covered under any of these 3 exceptions. Therefore, on this 9,000 also generally, we cannot claim the ITC. GST paid on purchase of computer 19,000. GST portion was included as a part of cost to claim depreciation under Income Tax Act 1961. Here the point is, as per section 16, subsection 3, when depreciation is claimed inclusive of GST, then no ITC is allowed on GST portion. When depreciation is claimed exclusive of GST, then only ITC is allowed on GST portion. Therefore, here on this 19,000, inclusive of GST, depreciation was claimed. Therefore, this 19,000 is not allowed as ITC. That means no double benefit is allowed. Next one, during May, Vittal & Co has reversed ITC of 10,000 for not making payment to the vendors within the time prescribed under CGST Act 2017. The pending payment was cleared in the month of August. So to which month we are actually preparing this? Generally what happens is, when there is a documentary evidence available, and in the same way, if the goods or services are received, then even though the payment was not made, but still we can claim the ITC. When there is a documentary evidence available and those goods or services are received, even though the payment was not made, still we can claim the ITC. But from the date of invoice, within 180 days, you should make the payment. Otherwise, whatever the ITC that was previously taken, it should be reversed along with interest at the rate of 18%. Here 10,000 was reversed because the payment was not made to the vendors within 180 days. Sir, that means, is it not possible to reclaim that particular IDC? Yes, definitely you can reclaim it when you just made the payment to the vendor. So the payment was actually paid to the vendor in the month of August. Therefore, in the month of August, you can claim the IDC. Next one. Out of the purchases made and IDC availed during the earlier months, the following information is made available as on September. So XYZ supplier name, payment is due for number of days 165. There is no need for reversal of this 13,000 because it is within the limit of 180. Whereas ABC supplier name, payment is actually 199. Payment is due for 199 days. Therefore, this 15,000 is to be reversed. PQR supplier name, payment is due for number of days 99 less than 180. There is no need for reversal. Vittal and Co. received accounting services from Raghu and Co., an associate enterprise located in Sri Lanka. Raghu and Co. issued invoice for the service on 1st September, which was entered by Vittal and Co. in its books on 10th October, but the payment was made on September 30th. Here the point is, when the services are received from associated enterprises as per section 13 subsection 3, time of supply will be date of payment, or when that supply was entered in the books of accounts, whichever is earlier. When the payment was made or when it was entered in the books of accounts, whichever is earlier, that will be the time of supply when any service is received from associate enterprise which is located outside India. So based on that, the payment was received on September 30th and it was entered in the books on October 10th. Based on that, we have to compute the time of supply. We will see that later on. So which one is earlier means September 30th will be the time of supply. Next one. All the supply referred above is intrastate unless specified otherwise. Conditions applicable for availment of IDC are fulfilled subject to the information given above. Based on information provided above, choose the most appropriate answer for the following questions. Vittal & Co. needs to furnish a statement containing details of stock of inputs held in finished goods on the withdrawal of composition scheme. By which date? Generally, when that particular scheme was withdrawn? May 9th. From that particular date, within 30 days, you should submit a statement to the department. Okay, ma. Here the scheme was withdrawn from May 9th onwards. Therefore, in May, 22 days. And whereas in June 8, that means on or before June 8th, they should submit a statement, ma. On or before June 8th, they should submit this statement to the government. So answer will be June 8th, within 30 days. You should submit that statement to the department. So June 8th will be the answer here. Second MCQ. In respect of the goods sent on sale or return basis, Vittal & Co. shall issue the invoice by. Already we discussed at this point. Whereas with respect to sale or return basis, what is the last date for the issue of invoice as per section 31, ma? Date of approval, or from the date of removal 6 months, whichever is earlier. So what is the date of approval? December 15th. What is the date of removal? June 10th. From the June 10th, 6 months means what is the position, ma? December 10th. So December 10th or December 15th, whichever is earlier, ma? December 10th. So December 10th will be the last date for the issue of invoice. So further the answer is option C, December 10th. Next, third bit. Determine the amount of eligible IDC that can be availed by Vittel and Co. for the month of August. What is the eligible ITC? We have to see that. GST paid on input services used for personal purpose. Generally, personal purpose ITC is not allowed. Therefore, on this 12,000, you cannot claim the ITC. Point B, GST paid on purchase of motor vehicle for business use, but the seating capacity is less than or equal to 13. Therefore, it is not there in the exception list. As I told you, in those three exceptions, therefore, on this 9,000 also, you cannot claim the ITC. Whereas third point, GST paid on the purchase of computer 19,000. GST portion was included as a part of cost to claim the depreciation as per 16 subsection 3 when depreciation was claimed inclusive of GST. Depreciation was claimed inclusive of GST. In that case, we cannot claim the ITC. So therefore, on this 19,000 also we cannot claim the ITC. The answer will be 0. Answer should be 0, but as per our ICA material, it is option B. 19,000 is there. I think there is some printing mistake. So, but as per the technical point of view, on that 19,000, you cannot claim the ITC. Okay. So, therefore, in that case, what is the position? So, if depreciation was claimed inclusive of GST, you cannot claim the ITC on that portion. If at all inclusive of GST, depreciation was claimed. It was clearly mentioned that it was included in the cost GST. Therefore, ITC is not allowed on that portion also. But as per ICA material, the answer is this one. But as point of view of me, this is the answer. Okay. Compute the ITC to be reversed for the month of September. Okay. So already I told you that from the date of invoice, within 180 days, you need not reverse the ITC. When 180 days expires, you should reverse the ITC. Here it is 165 with respect to XYZ supplier, no need of reversal. With respect to PQR, 99 days, there is no need for reversal. But whereas with respect to ABC, the payment is 199 days due is there. Therefore, on this 15,000, you should reverse the ITC. So, what is the amount that is to be reversed? 15,000. So, answer for this is point C. Next one. Time of supply in respect of service imported by Vittel & Co. from its associate enterprises. Whereas with respect to associated enterprises which are located outside India, the time of supply will be date of payment or when it is entered in the books of accounts, whichever is earlier. So Raghu & Co. is there in Sri Lanka. Therefore, 13.3 is applicable. With respect to 13.3, what is the date of payment? September 30th. And what is the date of entering it in the books of accounts? October 10th. So 30th September or October 10th, whichever is earlier. September 30th. So September 30th will be the time of supply. This is the answer. This is a point with respect to this case study based MCQ, second one. After that we will see the third one. So after completion of second one, we will see the third one. So Trimbak & Co., a LLP, a registered dealer under GST, is engaged in various types of business activities. It provided GTA services to the government department, registered under GST for providing various services. So it is providing GTA services to government. Registered under GST for providing generally, if at all any service is provided to government by the GTA, we should remember that one. The firm provides services of direct selling agency, to NBFC located at Mumbai. DSA, if at all DSA is individual and recipient is bank or NBFC, in that particular case, RCM is applicable. Bank or NBFC is liable to pay the GST. But whereas if the supplier is not an individual, then FCM will be applicable. Here the service is provided by the firm, therefore it is covered under FCM only but not under RCM. Next one. The firm also provided gift to each of its employees valuing 50,000 once in a financial year. So if the value is less than or equal to 50,000 in a financial year, then any gift that is given by employer to the employee is not a supply, then definitely there is no need to pay the GST. Triambak & Co. let out its warehouse to Mr. Grushnesh, who in turn let out to an agriculturist for warehousing of agri-produce. The firm also undertakes milling of paddy into rice for various agriculturists. So generally has given his warehouse, who in turn let out to an agriculturist. So here the activity done by Mr. Grush, it will be exempted. But whereas Triambak & Co. has given its warehouse to another person, definitely it is a renting of immovable property and it will be treated as supply of service. It will be treated as supply of service. The firm also undertakes milling of paddy into rice for various agriculturists. Milling of paddy into rice, definitely it comes under non-agri. If at all, paddy is agricultural activity, whereas milling of paddy into rice comes under rice mill, which is a business activity. Definitely it is taxable. Next one, the firm was served with an order by GST authority demanding to pay GST on 2 counts. Demand to pay GST of 45,000 for suppression of sales figures in monthly returns. Demand to pay GST 55,000 for fraudulently obtaining a refund of GST. So in these two cases, you are liable to pay the interest as per section 50. Further, in a particular month, the GST liability of the firm was 20,000 IGST, 10,000 CGST, 10,000 SGST. The following credits were available in the said month: IGST 8,000, CGST 12,000 and SGST 5,000. All the amounts given above are exclusive of taxes. Wherever applicable, all the supply referred above is intrastate unless specified otherwise. Conditions for availing ITC are fulfilled subject to the information given below. Based on the information provided above, choose the most appropriate answer for the following questions. Okay. First one, choose the correct statements. For GTA services, government is liable to pay GST under reverse charge mechanism. Second one, for DSA services, NBFC is liable to pay GST under reverse charge. For GTA services, Triambak & Co. is liable to pay the GST under forward charge. For DSA services, Triambak & Co. is liable to pay GST under forward charge. Here the correct answers are 1 and 4. GTA services, if it all are provided to government, who is liable to pay the GST? Government under reverse charge. But generally it is exempted on fulfilling certain conditions. For DSA services, already I told you that with respect to DSA services, if at all DSA is individual, then only RCM is applicable. Here in this case study, Triumph and Co. is not an individual, it is a partnership firm. In this case, FCM will be applicable. Therefore, the correct statements are 1 and 4. So option A 1 and 2, option B 3 and 4, option C 1 and 4, option D 2 and 4. So what will be the answer? 1 and 4. Next one. Gifts of 50,000 in value provided by Triumph and Co. to each of its employees will be option A supply of the goods, option B supply of service, option C both supply of the goods and service, option D neither the supply of the good nor the supply of service. Already I told you that any gifts by employer to the employee in a financial year, if the gift value is less than or equal to 50,000, then it is not a supply. It is neither the supply of the good nor the supply of service. So option D is the appropriate answer here. Which of the following statement is correct? First one, letting out of warehouse to Grunesh is exempt. No, letting out of warehouse to Grunesh is a renting of immovable property, which is the supply of service, taxable. So this is not correct. Milling of paddy into rice is exempt. No, paddy to rice is a non-agricultural activity. It comes under rice mill generally. It is also taxable. So this is also wrong statement. Letting out of warehouse to Grunesh is not exempt. Yes, this is the right statement. Milling of paddy into rice is not exempt. Yes. So 3 and 4 is the right statements, correct statements. Option A 1 and 2, option B 3 and 4, option C 1 and 4, option D 2 and 3. So in this case, what is the position, ma? 3 and 4. Option B is the right answer. Next one. Triumph and Co. is liable to claim is eligible to claim input tax credit of. We will see. Here, whatever the GST you just paid under fraudulent activities, those type of amounts are not eligible as ITC as per 17 subsection 5. As per 17 subsection 5, whatever the taxes that are paid as a part of recovery proceedings or any fraudulent activities that were done, definitely on them, whatever the tax is just paid to the department, 17 subsection 5 says that it is not allowed as ITC. So here the answer is 0. So neither the 45 nor the 55 nor the 1000. Answer is D, nil. No ITC is allowed to you when you just paid a tax as a part of recovery proceedings under fraudulent activities. Compute the GST liability of the firm to pay in cash. Okay. What are the output taxes, ma'am? IGST 20,000, CGST 10,000 and SGST 10,000. For the payment of this output tax, what are the ITCs that are available? IGST 8,000, CGST 12,000 and SGST 5,000. Okay. So for the payment of, so here we should start the problem with IGST. GST liability is 20,000 and IGST ITC 8,000 is there. So remaining 12,000 is needed to be paid in cash generally. And here, what is the CGST ITC, ma'am? CGST output tax is 10,000, whereas CGST IDC 12,000 is there. In that 12,000, 10,000 can be used to pay CGST, and CGST remaining balance is 0. Sorry, CGST payable amount is 0, and that excess CGST IDC can be used to pay IGST. Excess CGST IDC can be used to pay IGST. Therefore, IGST needed to be paid in cash is 10,000. CGST is 0. What about the SGST IDC? 5,000. So 5,000 is SGST IDC. So 5,000 is needed to be paid in cash. So IGST needed to be paid in cash 10,000. CGST 0. SGST 5,000. So in this, I will explain you the output taxes payable. IGST 20,000, CGST 10,000, SGST 10,000 are the output taxes payable. For the payment of this output tax, what are the taxes that are there? What are the IDCs that are available? IGST 8,000, CGST 12,000 and SGST 5,000. IGST 8,000, CGST 12,000 and SGST 5,000 is there. Okay. Here the point is, so first IGST IDC 8,000 is used to pay IGST. The remaining amount 12,000 is needed to be paid. Whereas CGST output tax payable is 10,000. For the payment of CGST output tax, CGST IDC of 12,000 is there. So excess 2,000 is there. This excess CGST IDC can be used to pay IGST. Therefore, it was used to pay IGST. Therefore, remaining 10,000 is needed to be paid in cash. CGST payable in cash is 0. Whereas, with respect to SGST, the output tax payable is 10,000, and whereas SGST IDC available is 5,000 and the remaining 5,000 is needed to be paid in cash. So, IGST 10,000, CGST nil, SGST 5,000 is the right answer. Remaining or not? Okay, this is the right answer. This is case study 3. And now we need to see case study 4. So fourth one, Ms. Chenchela, a doctor having inpatient facility in her hospital, is a registered person under GST. She availed interior decoration services from her spouse without any consideration being paid. She availed interior decoration services from her spouse without consideration. From her spouse means related party. As per 7(1)(c), deemed supplies, in order to treat any transaction as a deemed service, if at all it is a related party transaction, it should happen in the course or furtherance of business. Who are the related parties? As per 7(1)(c), common directors, partners, employer and employee, more than or equal to 25% of voting power, holding and subsidiary, third party controlling these two controlling a third party, same family members. Here, what is the same family members, ma'am? What is the same family member story here? Who are the same family members? The same family members are here. Spouse and children, whether financially dependent or not. Whereas with respect to brother, sister, parents, grandparents, if at all they are financially dependent, they are the related parties. It is a case of the spouse. So definitely they are related parties, first point. Second one, it happens without consideration. If it happens in the course or furtherance of business, definitely it is a deemed supply. Next one. She also availed IT related services from her sister-in-law without any consideration. both services for the purpose of her profession. Whereas with respect to sister-in-law, cannot be treated as a related party, but whereas with respect to spouse, he will be treated as a related party. Next one, Miss Chenchila provided treatment of various diseases in her hospital, and apart from that, she also provided the following services in her hospital. Plastic surgery to enhance the beauty of the face. Plastic surgery done as a part of medical treatment, it is exempted. But whereas any plastic surgery done for the sake of beautification, definitely it is taxable. Next one, ambulance services for the transportation of patients. Ambulance service is always exempted. Renting of space to run medical store in hospital premises. Renting of space to run medical store in hospital premises. Definitely it comes under taxable one. It is not in relation to healthcare service, there it is taxable. She is also a consultant in other hospitals and received 40 lakhs as a consultancy fee from other hospitals, but it related to healthcare service, generally it will be exempted. Further, she also provide canteen facility and received 55,000 from inpatients and 35,000 from patients who are not admitted and 25,000 from the visitors for the same facility. So whereas with respect to canteen facility, with respect to inpatient, it is a composite supply of healthcare service, therefore it is exempted. But whereas with respect to this 35,000 from the patient and from the outpatients as well as 25,000 from the visitors is definitely taxable. She filed GSTR 3B for the month of June with some errors. So if at all any mistakes are there in the GSTR 3B, then what will be the cutoff date to rectify that mistake? Generally, the mistake should be rectified on or before the cutoff date that is there in 16 subsection 4. What is the cutoff date that is there as per 16 subsection 4? Next financial year, September month, GSTR 3B filing date or date of annual return, whichever is earlier. So here she filed annual return on the 31st October, whereas the due date is actually December 31st of next year. Okay, October 20th or October 31st, whichever is earlier. So October 20th will be the cutoff date to rectify the mistake generally. Proper officer of the department cancelled the registration certificate of Ms. Chenchila Shumoto on July 31st. Order of cancellation was served on August 5th. However, she applied for revocation of the same and got her registration certificate revoked. As per section 30, when that order was served from that particular date, within 30 days, she should apply for revocation of cancellation. All the amounts given above are exclusive of taxes, wherever applicable. All the supply referred above is intrastate unless specified otherwise. From the information given below, choose the most appropriate answer for the following questions. Which of the following is correct statement as per the provisions of CGST Act? Service availed from her spouse is a deemed supply. Yes, no? Because when one related party supplies goods or services in relation to or in the course or furtherance of business to another related party, even though it happens without consideration, still it is a deemed supply. Okay. Services availed from her spouse definitely is a deemed supply. Yes, this statement is correct. Service availed from her sister-in-law is a deemed supply. No, she can't be a related person. Therefore, this is not a deemed supply. Service availed from Her spouse is not a deemed supply. Already I told you that it is a deemed supply. So this is the wrong one. Service availed from her sister-in-law is not a deemed supply. Yes, this is the correct one. So what is the answer? 1 and 4 are the correct answers. We will see the options here. Option A 1 and 4. Option B 3 and 4. Option C 2 and 3. Option D 1 and 2. In this case, what is the position? Option A is the right answer. Next one. Compute the taxable value of supply of canteen service provided by Miss Chinchilla. Already I told you that. The amount received from inpatients is exempted, whereas amount received from outpatient, amount received from visitors definitely taxable, and we will see that. In this 55,000 is exempt, which is received from inpatients, and whereas with respect to 35,000 outpatient, 25,000 visitors, both are taxable. So 35,000 plus 25,000, it will be 60,000 ma. So 60,000 is the taxable value here. Yes. This is option C. Next one is, Ms. Chinchilla should have applied for revocation of cancellation of registration certificate by. Already I told you that. When that particular cancellation order was served to you, from that particular date, within 30 days, revocation application should be filed, ma. Okay. So based on that, on which date the notice was served, ma? 5th August. So from 5th August, within 30 days, you should apply for revocation. So in August, it will be 26 days, and in September, it will be 4 days. So on or before September 4th. On or before September 4th, you should apply for revocation. So the answer will be September 4th, option D. Option A, 5th August. Option B, 20th August. Option C, August 30th. And option D, 4th September. Okay, ma'am. Maximum time permissible for the rectification of error committed in monthly return of June. So the point will be, next financial year, September month, GSTR 3B filing date, that is October 28th, or date of annual return, whichever is earlier. So here, so the annual return was filed on 31st October. So October 20th or October 31st, whichever is earlier, October 20th. So the time limit for the rectification of these mistakes will be October 20th of the next year. It is not July 20th, it is not October 31st, it is not December 31st. Okay, ma'am. Next one. Determine which of the following services provided by Ms. Chinchilla and her hospital is exempt from GST. Plastic surgery to enhance the beauty of the face. So plastic surgery done as a part of medical treatment is exempted, whereas plastic surgery done for the sake of beautification, taxable. It is not exempted, taxable. Ambulance services provided for transportation of patient. Yes, it comes under healthcare service. It is exempted. Renting of a space to run medical store in hospital premises. Renting of space to run medical store in hospital premises. Definitely it is a taxable one, it is not exempted. Consultancy services by Ms. Chinchilla in other hospitals. Definitely it will come under healthcare service, it is exempted. So 2 and 4 are exempted. Option A, 1, 2 and 4. Option B, 1 and 2. Option C, 2 and 4. Option D, 1 and 3. So the right answer will be 2 and 4. That is option C. This is the fourth one, ma'am.
Hi students, I'm Prakash, Academic Advisor, Masterminds. Just now you have watched a sample video of detailed explanation to MCQs released by ICAI at CA Inter and IPCC level. So as you already know that at CA Inter and IPCC level, in all the theory subjects, 30% of the question paper will consist of MCQs. That is, in each paper 30 marks are being dedicated to MCQs. So, and majority of them will be case based, scenario based MCQs. And CA Institute has officially released such kind of case based, scenario based MCQs, and they have even released some normal style of MCQs also. Our faculty team have made detailed videos on all such MCQs, in which our faculty have given a detailed explanation to each and every MCQ. Just now you have watched a sample video of the same. If you really like that video, then you can purchase this MCQs explanation videos of your choice, which are available in our app. For that purpose, you need to first install our Android app, which is available in Google Play Store, and our app name is Masterminds Online Classes. If you belong to iOS platform, then please do install an app called Class Plus and enter the organization code as MZGUN. Now, so after installing the app, click the button Store. So here you can find options like CA Inter MCQs. Click that. So here are the courses available, in which our faculty have given detailed explanation to each and every MCQ. For example, look at the auditing subject. Let's see. So here is the content. Here are the videos of MCQs explaining in the subject of auditing, and whatever the subject you want, you can purchase. It's not compulsory to purchase the MCQs of all the subjects. You can purchase each individual subject of your choice also, and based on the number of hours of content, we have even fixed the fee. So you can purchase these videos at your own convenience, and you can start watching the same. And for all these videos, we will be given 1.5 views. That means a 1 hour video can be watched for 1.5 hours. And similar videos are even available for CA IPCC students also. Hope that you will enjoy this service. My dear students, if you have any academic issues and would like to contact me, then please send a mail to my mail ID with all your details, and my mail ID is mssprakash2012@gmail.com. All the best. Let's have a glimpse into the roots of the Masterminds. So Masterminds were established in 2002 and is undeniably the pioneer and the leader in MEC, CA and CMA coaching in India, with a lion's share of nearly 20,000 admissions per annum. It is an incredible initiative by 3 visionary edupreneurs. That is me, MSS Prakash, Chartered Accountant, my brother Mohan, my sister-in-law Radha, from the same family at a very young age, under the successful mentorship of our father, Mr. M. Sivaprasad. Within the shortest span, our presence have expanded to almost all major cities of AP and Telangana. We are humbled to say that very soon we want to expand to the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu also, so especially with the wishes and support of all our old students. We offer best quality services for MEC with integrated coaching for CRCMA Foundation. Exclusive MEC CEC coaching is also available. Regular class, study hours and revision exams, MMTS services for all the levels of CSCMA courses. And recently we launched a unique academic program called MEC Pro, aiming the students who aspire to pursue BBA, CLAT or MBA in future rather than CSCMA courses, and we have received excellent response. So our students have achieved first rank for 47 times in various courses that we offer coaching. Till now, our students have bagged 977 All India ranks in all the stages of CSCMA courses. So 98 All India ranks in a single attempt of CMA inter and final exams, and 180 All India ranks in CSCMA courses in 2019 and 20 alone. So 3 All India first ranks in the year 2020 alone. So right now we have around 150 batches of various courses in Guntur and all our branches together.